Welcome to Grow Fast, Grow Smart, the PI Playbook by Accelerator, the podcast exclusively designed to help personal injury law firms reach their full potential and serve their clients better. Today's episode is hosted by Micki Love, president of CJ Advertising and co-founder of Accelerator Law Firm Consultants.
Hey friends, Micki Love here, coming to you guys today with another great episode of our podcast. I have with me one of my favorite humans in the world who also happens to be a huge Mickey Mouse fan, which is a win in my book. So I want to introduce you guys to Murry Parrish of the law firm Parrish DeVaughn out of Oklahoma. Murry, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and your law firm?
Sure. I've been doing this for a lot longer than I care to remember or admit. But in about June of 2013, we decided we wanted to get on television. It was a much smaller firm. I mean, it was a 2-lawyer firm back in those days. And we're fortunate enough to be introduced to Micki through some mutual friends. And we kind of got started doing this TV deal. And we've been very fortunate and have really good partners in our advertising for CJ. And we've been able to go from 4 people to, 55, 60, something like that, 15 lawyers. So it's been kind of crazy. And so Micki's got to witness the whole thing. And
gosh, you guys have had like tremendous growth. And fun fact, you guys are a CJ Partner of the Year. So a lot of that is due to just your all's commitment to trying, right? Because a lot of what I think some firms miss is that not all marketing is proven, right? And we have to try different things to see what works for your market because every market is unique. And so, what would you say if a new firm was starting up about their marketing journey? Should they expect it to be easy peasy, set it and forget it? Like, what would you give someone as some advice around marketing?
I don't know. I get asked that. Not surprisingly, I get asked that question a lot. And, I like to call us an 11-year overnight success, And so I think there's a couple of things that I've learned doing this. And one of them is it's not easy. And I think Steve DeBosier said it best. It's a 4-letter word. And it's WORK. You have to work on it every single day. You're not going to get to a point like, oh, okay, here we are. Now we can relax and keep going. No, you're not, because there's always going to be someone else like me or that's behind you, nipping at your heels. And if you take your foot off the gas, they're going to catch you. And then the other thing is, you can't be. It's not for the timid. If you're going to do it, if you want to be a TV lawyer, or market on television, you have to be prepared to be, at least in the top 3 in your market. You can't just dip your toe in. It won't work. It won't get traction. And so you're just going to be throwing good money after bad. But then just stay committed to what your vision is. And, we get a lot of help from CJ, not just in our advertising content, but also operationally. And I think we spend, in my firm, as much energy and time on our operations as we do on lawyering. The firm is almost 2 separate parts. You have an operational part and you have the legal side. And so those are the things I think are important to really keep in mind if you are interested in becoming a mainstream advertiser and you're interested in scaling your firm.
Yeah, I think you made some excellent points there. The first one that I want to touch back on is the 11-year overnight success, right? Like, this is hard work. Like, I think people miss the point of sticking with it. When you start, you got to keep going if you really want to see that explosion of success. Like, it doesn't come overnight. And then one day you wake up and you're like, it clicked. Like, the community gets it. And now we're on this path. Of course, a great advertising agency helps with that, right? But I think it really takes some commitment from the firm to be interested and engaged in a long-term plan, as well as the operations piece. You said it, and I concur. Like, if you don't have the operational chops behind all the marketing dollars, you're going to be spending a lot of dollars that are not going to be making money for your firm. And so for me, I think that's an important piece of some of the things that you guys have done and done really, really well, is that you have focused on your clients, making sure they get as much money as they can out of their cases. But you've also focused internally, right, to make sure operations get buttoned up so that you can turn the dial up and try some of these other marketing pieces. You guys spend a lot of time tracking your marketing as well. Do you find that tracking has been helpful to you guys to know what's working, what's not working as you've moved from, your 11-year overnight success to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, we try to track everything we can. That's another thing that CJ is really good at, is providing you with the data that you can in turn plug in or track and figure out what you're doing with it. And but like you kind of mentioned when we first started this conversation, was not being afraid to try something new, and and that's where this tracking really comes in handy. And so if you want to try something new, sure, go try it, but you need to make sure you have a way to measure to see if it's working. And I think we've done. I mean, particularly with the internet, over the last 11 years, it's the Wild West, and every day someone else has another idea. But, this is what's going to work. Throw some money at it. And, if you don't track that stuff, next thing you know, you're going to have 15 little internet campaigns going on, and you don't know what they're doing. And so that is, I think, super important. I mean, it's two prongs. I mean, you be brave, be innovative, then also have a way to measure it, because otherwise you'll never know. You're just throwing darts, and that don't really do any good either.
I love that. I'm going to write that down and steal your quote. Be brave, but be innovative. I do 100% agree with that. And you guys have done some pretty innovative things from the community aspect as well, which, from as a CJ client, we're really big into doing the right thing by the clients first, and our community and our teams at our different law firms. And you guys have embraced that wholeheartedly, and you do a lot of really awesome stuff in the community. And I want to touch on one big thing that I know requires someone to be extremely brave, because it's a very expensive maneuver. But you guys are partners with Thunder, right? The Oklahoma City Thunder. Can you tell the audience a little bit about your sports sponsorship initiative and how you decided you wanted to do this, and what you guys have seen since you have done this within your community?
Yeah, that's been one of our most successful campaigns. It's a partnership with the Thunder. And one of the things for those of you who don't know, Oklahoma sports are huge here. And we have two universities, University of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State University. And never the two shall meet. And so if you pick a side, you're stuck on that side, and half the state's going to hate you. So we decided that probably strategically wasn't the best idea. But the Thunder is universally adored in Oklahoma. Everyone knows the Thunder, everyone follows the Thunder, and we had an opportunity to partner with the Thunder. And one of the things that it did for us that I didn't anticipate, one, I was just wanting people to see us associated with the Thunder, but it really legitimized us in the eyes of the population here. We're Parrish DeVaughn Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, that all of a sudden, people hear that or read that or see that, and they're like, oh, well, if they're the Thunder's lawyers, and they can be my lawyer. And, so obviously the white collar market is a tough market to crack. And those are the people you're going to see, particularly at a lot of these Thunder events. So all of a sudden, if they're seeing that the Thunder trust us enough to have our name associated with them, they're probably going to give us a chance, if and when they ever need an injury attorney. Whereas typically in that market, you're dealing with a population that's somewhat a little bit more affluent, but their kids go to school with other lawyers' kids. I mean, they know lawyers, they have someone to call, and so getting them to call you, is difficult. And I think this Thunder campaign has been really good for us. And the public just loves it. Our staff loves it. We get to put Thunder stuff on all of our shirts and just everywhere. And it's just been a lot of fun, and it's gotten a lot of really good attention that you don't typically associate with a personal injury TV law.
It does take intentionality, though, right? Because it's not about just saying, hey, we're going to be the official injury lawyers of the Oklahoma City Thunder. It means, taking the time to go to games, be present, put the time, effort, energy into promoting it as well, right? Because if you had just purchased the logo and you did nothing else with it, it most likely would not have had the same catch fire that it's had. Like, you guys have just exploded since you did that, in combination with several other things you guys are doing. But I do feel like that's been a big part of your continued success into your market. I just feel like sometimes firms miss that it's not about just buying the sponsorship, but also being intentional about what you're going to do with it. So having a good plan and working with your marketing team and your marketing agency to cross-reference how we're going to be successful in those is super important, in my opinion.
Yeah. So another thing that we did, which I think has been really successful, I was looking to see if I had a shirt in here, but we co-branded and we put the Thunder logo next to ours. Here's a small, I don't know if you can see that on here.
Oh yeah, I love it. I
So
love it.
we have that everywhere, and it's on our webpage. It's on T-shirts. We have a very, very large billboard presence, and we have it on probably 20% of our billboards, and it looks good. I mean, the matching. We changed our colors to match the Thunder colors when we do the co-branding, and then I was also told recently by our Thunder rep that the Clay Bennett, who's the general or the owner, I guess he's the managing owner of the Thunder. He drives past one of our billboards every day on his way home from work, and he's commented on how much he likes our logo next to the Thunder logo. And so I think that that's great when you have the owner of the team that likes it, because there's always, I've been told, a little bit of trepidation from some of these professional teams and whether or not they want to get associated with advertising attorneys. And as far as Thunder goes, the partnership has been really, really good, and I expect it to continue to be a strong partnership.
Yeah, you make a good point there. At CJ, we have several clients that are the official injury lawyers or the proud partners with different NFL and NBA organizations, as well as some university sports. And I do think it's important that when you're working with these agencies that are also representing the sports teams, that you are collaborative, right? Because they care as much about their brand as we care about your brand. And so finding a way to make them happy with the end product is super important, because you want them to see you as a true partner to their branding as well, because they're also looking to your brand to help increase sales for their team and to promote their team as well. And so if you can do things such as co-branding and developing, colors and logo schemes that play really well with their brand, you're going to get more intentionality. And, one of the comments that we received at CJ regarding your firm was from the agency that represents the Thunder, just talking to us about how, they've been approached by other industries and how much they've enjoyed working with you guys because you are so collaborative with them. So I think that's been a huge piece of your success.
Well, and they've also, I've been told that they show our campaign, our Thunder campaign, it's in their deck of best practices. So anytime they come on with a new marketing partner, they get shown the Parrish DeVaughn marketing setup and like that. This is how we want it done. And so,
it's a true success campaign.
CJ speaks to all of us. It's we started from scratch what we came up with, and it's worked out well.
I love that. There were a few other things that you guys did around the same time that the Thunder came on board that I think has also played into some successes for your firm, as well as other CJ firms. But I definitely wanted to touch base with you on radio and get your opinion on radio. I know that we brought radio on right about the same time that we brought in the Thunder. And so those two things together, I feel like have created an extra flame to the fire that we already had built. How do you feel about radio, and how do you see that it's played into the success of Parrish DeVaughn?
Before we did it, I would have told you I think radio is a bad idea. As a matter of fact, I think somebody might have told me that themselves. But now I think things have changed a little, and I think our approach to radio is different then. It's kind of the same as the TV approach. You can't just dip your toe in it. If you're going to be on radio, you got to kind of take the same kind of carpet bombing approach that you do with television. So that said, we've been very pleased with our radio campaign. It's difficult to measure because what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is it the radio spot? Is it the billboard? Is it the TV? I mean, who knows? But what we have seen is when we started that campaign and then the Thunder campaign, we've seen our leads increase by probably 25%. Our inventory is up about the same amount, and it's just continuing on a pretty steady trajectory in that direction. And so we absolutely think it's been a great investment. And one of the things I didn't even know was possible is, I think it's great, but on your your radio in your car, your screen, every vehicle has a screen. And so when you have a radio station on, it'll say whatever the name of the radio station is. And then usually when they're doing commercials, there's like a little ad banner that trickles underneath talking about whatever they're advertising or what song's playing or whatever. Well, ours, it says Parrish DeVaughn or web address, something that's running all the time. So other lawyers are actually on the radio advertising with their little jingle, and then you look down at the screen to see who it is, and it says ParrishDeVaughn.com. I mean, it's great, and it drives them crazy. I know it does, and we actually have. So every station in our market, we have that banner that runs across it all the time. And on the two, like I said, this is a sports town. The two sports stations, since they don't play songs, it's on there 24/7. So anyone that tries to advertise there has to compete with us every single time. So it's a very long answer to your question, but we've been very pleased with it.
Yeah, no, I think it's good stuff. Yeah, and I think you made some good points, right? It's hard to tell the difference sometimes, right? Was it radio? Was it TV? Was it billboards? Is it the sponsorship with the Thunder that's making the difference? And I think it's important for the audience to hear that, because for me, it's all about overall lift, right? If we try something new, did we get a lift regardless of what people calling in may tell you their referral source is? Because often people will call in and they still tell us, oh, I saw your ad in the newspaper. I don't even know if there are still newspapers around these days, and people are still saying it. So I do think you made an excellent point there about overall lift and watching that and seeing what does move the needle for your firm. And quite frankly, it's different in every market, right? But I love what you guys have done with radio in conjunction with, your TV campaign. It all aligns, right? So I think we're very intentional about your brand, making sure that TV matches radio, matches billboards, matches the Thunder, matches your community involvement, so that there's some cohesiveness to your pattern. And you guys have been excellent about making sure that you're covering all the bases, right? And that you are putting out there what you want to get. Like, you're asking for what you want. You're telling the public what you do, and you're being specific about what you want. And I think that makes a big difference as well. I know we only have a few minutes left, and I don't want to keep you over our time, but you guys do some really cool stuff in the Oklahoma City proper with some of your community events. And I was hoping maybe you might touch on that just a little bit for the audience about how you guys are bringing those things to life and how it plays into your social aspect for Parrish DeVaughn.
Yeah, that's something that's really one of our core values, not necessarily a listed core value, but something that's really important to us is community involvement. And, I found, rightly or wrongly, probably wrongly, but, if you're on TV all the time and you're on billboards all the time, and you're on the radio all the time, people start thinking of you as like a kind of a celebrity. And so then they get to kind of this, like, I don't know, just this thing where people are kind of intimidated and, all the guys on TV, and then they're kind of hesitant. They don't want to talk to you. And so we've really tried to get out there, not necessarily just for that reason, but I found that that's a thing. You get out there now, and we do what's called a Food Truck Friday. Every third Friday, we have a food truck come to the office. We blast it on social media, and it's free. All you do is just show up and come eat. And we've kind of created a little bit of a carnival atmosphere. When they come, we have tables and we have games where you can win prizes like T-shirts and Parrish DeVaughn swag. And then we also have our own, fortune to have our own standalone building. And so people are always very curious as to what's inside the building, and they want to see inside. And so we're able to open the doors and let people come in and see. They're just shocked. They can just come in and walk around. We're like, yeah, we can come walk around. And then we've been really involved. Like, we do a DUI campaign over New Year's and over St. Patrick's, and I think over Christmas too, where we offer free Uber rides. Partners with the radios there, and the radio stations here, and they're able to run some PSAs for us, advertising that. We're super involved with animal shelters. We sponsor adoptions several times a year. Oklahoma City, believe it or not, has a ton of museums, and we've tried to get us affiliated with them as well and help them market their museums, because I think it's just a public service. We have these wonderful things, and we want to make sure the public's aware of them and have an opportunity to enjoy it.
I have lots of ideas around all those things that I want to talk to you about, but you guys have done a great job, I think, of working to make sure you hit the emotional aspects of your community, right? People love food, people love children, people love sports and pets. And when you can bring something to the community that really ties them into something that they're passionate about, I think that the rewards come back to the firm, even when you're not doing it for that specific reason. I know you guys are doing it to grow your firm, but you're also doing it to give back. And I think that's a big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's important to us, particularly Pepper and me, that we are viewed as a contributing member of the community. We live here, we raise our kids here. And so we want the community to know, we're here. We're just not here to shill for car wreck cases. We're here to be a part of the community and make a difference. And, I think just the approachability really moves the needle. Like I kind of touched on earlier, when we do the food trucks or whatever, and, we're just out there, we want to meet everyone and visit with people, and, they're oftentimes just surprised. We'll just stand there and talk to them. And I just think that just being out there and being accessible, I think it means a lot to people, and it kind of takes away a little bit. Just kind of changes the tone of the conversation really early on to a much more kind of engaging and more compassionate conversation.
I have more questions. I love community events. This is something that I've talked to you guys about for a long time, but if someone wanted to do an event like the Food Truck Friday at their firm, how difficult was that to get off the ground? Does it require a ton of your team members' time? Do you guys have to shut down the office on Friday afternoons to make that happen? What does that look like from an office operational standpoint for pulling an event like that off?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so it's kind of, there's two parts to it. The hardest part is getting people to know about it, because you see food trucks, you don't necessarily know that they're free food trucks. And so you've got to get that out there. We really beefed up our social media. We found it was the same people every single time. And so, all right, we know you guys get it, but we wanted to have other people come and enjoy the food trucks. And so we really beefed up our social media campaign about it. Had some people out here shooting video while they were there and pushing that on the internet. And that's, we've doubled the amount of people we have come show up. The next thing is you want to make sure that whatever food you're serving is something they can put together quickly. They can't be making stuff from scratch, or you're going to have people getting food till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, we learned that the hard way. So, tacos or just things that are fast and easy to put together. As far as shutting down the office and whatnot, it does impact the office, because we do encourage our team to go down there and eat and mingle and be around and be seen and interact. But I think the worst case scenario is maybe instead of taking an hour lunch, you take an hour and a half. And then there's the setup is, a person that's kind of their job to do those types of things. So it's not huge. We have some tables we set up, and then we have some flags and signs we put out saying free food. I'd say 15, 20 minutes. Maybe start to finish, clean up, whatever. But it's not a huge commitment. And then finding the food trucks is super easy, because they're just, hey man, I'm going to come out and guarantee 100 people prepay. Anyone will do it. They love it. So it's been a good deal for everybody. And then the food truck community is really a small community, and so they know about us, and they solicit us now and want to come and participate. And so it's just been a good thing for both sides.
You made it something that I like talking about these days. It's kind of new to our industry. Other industries have been using it for a while, but influencers, right? Food trucks in and of themselves are kind of an influencer, because they have a following. People who love that particular food truck, they have their own following. But then you guys have also used Paul Sr., who's also considered an influencer in the motorcycle world. What would you tell the general public that's listening today about your interaction with using an influencer? Is it something that you think is helpful? Has it given a rise to your brand? What do you find with those things?
I think in particular the Paul Tuttle campaign has been a good one, because everyone knows who he is, and they all want to know. I mean, did you really meet him? Is he just is it a green screen? You know, what's he like? You know, just being able to talk about that. I mean, that's interesting to people. We also have one of his motorcycles. We have it sitting in our lobby, and so people like to come by just to see that. You know, get pictures taken by it, and so I mean, I think the right influencer really is helpful, but you got to be careful too, because everything else. But Paul Tuttle's been a really good one, and we've been pleased. And we were talking the other day, you know, what's next? I'm not sure, but we've had a good experience with that.
Yeah, I do think influencers can be beneficial, but they can also be polarizing, right? Just like you were talking about your college as well ago. Like, you can be super polarizing if you pick the wrong team and you get on the wrong side of that. Same thing with influencers. But I think if you do your homework and you vet them, I think there's some really cool things that you can bring to life with those particular interests that are out there. So if we were to leave somebody with a piece of advice today, Murry, if they're trying to grow their firm, what would you tell them to do?
I would tell them to do their research, and then, you know, there's a lot of smart people out there that know a lot about this, and all the ones that I've interacted with have always been very willing to share their knowledge, and with no expectation of anything in return. And I would encourage you, if there's something you think you want to do, call me or call any one of the CJ attorneys, and pick our brains and hear our story. You know, then once you decide to do it, come up with your plan and stick to it, commit to it, and realize that it's not going to get any easier, probably, but you have lots of opportunity to be successful. You just got to be brave enough to go try it.
Yeah, be intentional. I love that. I'm always telling people to get in a mentor peership type group. At CJ, we're lucky that our firms share with each other, and so we try to create that open and welcoming environment. And I'm sure Murry would be open to talking to anyone that's listening today if they have questions about any of the things that we've covered today. Anything you want to say, Murry, before we end today?
No, I just think that, I mean, that's a good point. And, I mean, I've learned it. I mean, probably knew it subconsciously, but, you know, this concept that all ships rise together, and that really is, I believe, to be a true thing. You know, so take advantage of that. I mean, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I was a 4-person law firm 11 years ago. And because people were willing to share information with me and be open to my dumb questions, you know, I think we've been pretty successful. And so I would just encourage you to take advantage of those opportunities because they're out there.
Well, friends, this is the end of our episode today. I'm Micki Love here at CJ. We love growing personal injury firms, and we'd love to help you. If you find yourself in need of a personal injury advertising agency, we're here for you. And for the love of PI, I'm Micki Love. Until next time.
That's all for today's episode of Grow Fast, Grow Smart, the PI Playbook by Accelerator. Be sure to subscribe for more tips and tricks on growing your law firm the smart way.